During World War II, some enemy soldiers stared across the battlefield and feared something stranger than a tank rolling toward them. They feared a bowl of ice cream. That sounds like a joke. It is not. Somewhere in a cold, muddy trench, a German soldier is picturing the American army. He imagines it the way he imagines every army. Tired men, wet boots, empty stomachs, broken trucks, fear that never fully goes away. Then he sees something that breaks that picture completely. An American soldier sitting in the middle of a war zone, smiling, holding a bowl of ice cream. The German soldier is not afraid of the dessert. Dessert cannot hurt him. What terrifies him is the question sitting right behind it. How does an army fighting a world war have the time, the fuel, the ships, the refrigeration, and the confidence to deliver ice cream to the front line? If your enemy can bring ice cream across an ocean, what else can he bring? That question is where this story really begins. Ice cream and war are not supposed to belong in the same sentence. War means mud. War means rationing. War means counting your last bullets and hoping they are enough. War does not mean choosing between vanilla and chocolate. Picture it. One soldier crouched in a foxhole, counting rounds one by one. A few hundred feet away, another soldier is deciding which topping he wants. That contrast is almost funny. It looks like a mistake in the story of the war. But the ice cream was not the strange part. The strange part was everything required to make it possible. Think about what a single scoop of ice cream actually needs. It needs milk. It needs sugar. It needs electricity. It needs a working freezer. It needs a kitchen. It needs trucks to move the ingredients. It needs ships to cross an ocean without spoiling the cargo. It needs fuel to keep those ships moving. It needs organized people at every single step, from a farm somewhere in the United States to a mess hall thousands of miles away. That is not dessert. That is a machine. A small scoop of ice cream was sitting on top of a giant hidden system built from farms, factories, freezers, ports, ships, and thousands of workers nobody back home ever saw on the news. And then the United States Navy took the idea even further. It did not just bring ice cream to its soldiers, it built floating ice cream factories. Picture a serious naval officer standing over a war map. He points to shipping routes, aircraft carriers, and supply lines stretching across the Pacific Ocean. Then he points to you one more object on that map. A barge. A strange, boxy little ship whose entire job was to freeze food and produce large amounts of ice cream for sailors and troops stationed far from home. Everyone looking at that map stares at it the same way, like it should not exist. Like someone accidentally built a dessert shop in the middle of a war. But it was real. The United States really did operate refrigerated ships and barges built to keep food cold and to produce ice cream on a large scale for troops in the Pacific. And if America could build a ship just to keep dessert frozen, imagine what it was doing for tanks, aircraft, ammunition, and fuel. This is where the story stops being about food and starts being about fear. Try seeing it from the other side. Many soldiers fighting in Europe and the Pacific were dealing with shortages. Broken supply lines, long stretches without proper food, exhaustion that never really lifted. War stripped down to its hardest, coldest reality. Then word spreads that American troops are getting hot meals. Coffee, chocolate, cigarettes, clean uniforms, medical supplies when they get hurt. And sometimes, almost unbelievably, ice cream. This was never really about luxury. It was about morale. The ice cream was funny for 1 second. Then it became a warning. Somewhere a tired soldier starts putting the pieces together. My army is trying to survive out here. Their army is being supported by an entire continent. But morale was only half of the problem. The bigger problem was replacement. Here's the part that should actually worry an enemy commander. The exact same system that could deliver ice cream to the front line could also deliver trucks, tanks, aircraft, fuel, spare parts, food, medicine, radios, boots, ammunition, ships. The United States was not simply sending soldiers overseas to fight. It was sending an entire moving civilization behind them, built to keep resupplying that fight for as long as it took. Picture a German soldier standing at a map table, cutting one American supply line with a pair of scissors. He looks up, satisfied. Then another line appears. He cuts that one too, then another appears, then another. Within seconds, the board is covered in ships, trucks, trains, and factories, faster than he can cut them down. And this is where the ice cream becomes almost unfair. Comfort does not usually sound like a weapon, but in war, comfort keeps soldiers healthier. It keeps them more alert. It keeps them believing they can make it home. A soldier who has food, rest, medical care, mail from his family, and something as small as a warm meal has a real advantage over a soldier who has none of that. Nobody is claiming that ice cream won the war. That would be dishonest, and it would insult the sacrifice on every side of that conflict. What the ice cream represents is something bigger. America had enough industrial capacity to think about morale, comfort, and small human pleasures while simultaneously building weapons, ships, and aircraft on a scale most of the world had never seen. Picture one side of the battlefield. A tired soldier stares into an empty supply crate, searching for something that is not there. On the other side, an American supply chain keeps arriving without stopping. Food, spare parts, medicine, fuel. And, sitting right on top of it all, one small, almost embarrassing bowl of ice cream. For the enemy, that raised a genuinely terrifying question. How do you defeat a country that can afford to be comfortable in the middle of a war? Now stretch that idea out across the entire American war effort, and the contrast becomes even harder to ignore. Back home, factories never stopped running. Farms kept producing food at massive scale. Railroads kept moving supplies across the country. Ports kept loading ships day and night. Refrigeration kept food fresh across thousands of miles of ocean. And soldiers at the front were receiving far more than just rifles and orders. They were receiving the output of an entire nation working behind them. The ice cream was a small detail, but small details reveal big systems. The scoop was small. The machine behind it was enormous. And once you understand that, the ice cream stops looking funny. Now go back to that German soldier from the very beginning. He is still watching the American soldier eating his ice cream. At first it looks ridiculous, a silly little treat in the middle of a brutal war. But now he cannot stop imagining what stands behind it. The farms, the factories, the ships crossing dangerous oceans, the freezers running on precious fuel, the workers loading crate after crate, day after day, the ports that never seem to close. He is not looking at dessert anymore. He is looking at supply power. American ice cream did not frighten soldiers because it was sweet. It frightened them because it proved that the United States could deliver almost anything to almost anywhere, even in the middle of a world war. An army that can bring ice cream across an ocean can probably bring everything else too. If you want more simple World War II stories explained in cartoons, subscribe to War Doodles.